Oh, hello YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, we are doing my July wrap-up. I think I am finally coming out of my reading slump because I have not wanted to read much of anything for a couple months now. Unless it was required reading, like it was just not happening. But this month I actually read for fun quite a bit. So I felt pretty proud of myself that like I have a good number of books to actually review. They give it its own video this month. So let's get into what I was reading in July, and hopefully this like out of my reading slump streak will continue. First category is books I've already reviewed, and I have 2 of them. I read Diamonds Are Forever by Ian Fleming. I am still continuing on my James Bond read-along series. And this one I actually really like. I think it's an underrated hit of the series. Some of the most tense action sequences I've read in the whole series. Cool heroine, interesting kind of characters. James, he's in America for the most part in this book. There's also, you know, a lot of the yikes factor here. Like, we're not gonna like glaze over it, but like yikes for a lot of things. But yeah, some of the best, most tense action sequences in here. So I kind of like it. I have a whole recap video up, so you can check that out if you want to know what exactly happens in this book. I also read Blood Canticle by Anne Rice. I already have a full recap video of this up, and I quite enjoyed it actually. I have heard mixed reviews about it. Like a lot of people either really liked it or really hated it. For the most part, I think it leans closer to like people did not like this. However, I kind of liked it. I thought it was fun. It's basically, we're kind of getting finally back to Lestat being our narrator. And, you know, Lestat, he's a moody guy, okay? He's very capricious, and he's also very moody. And this one, he's just like, maybe I should be a better person. So it's kind of about him being a better person. It's also, I don't know, I guess you could technically say it's like Mayfair Witches book 5, because it's a full crossover between Mayfair Witches and the Vampire Chronicles. So you have like, you know, Rowan Mayfair, you have Mona Mayfair, you have Lestat in here, like they're all in the same book. So it's very much intertwining those 2 worlds. And overall, I really had a good time with it. I thought it was really fun. Some of it is a bit like, Anne, like, and inserting herself into the story quite a bit, but we're gonna move past that. Anyways, I have a full recap video up, so you can check that out if you want to know exactly what happened in Blood Canticle. Next category is manga, and I read 2 of them. Now here's the thing, I'm not a big manga reader, but I was at Target one day, and I happened to see this book, Villains Are Destined to Die. And I was like, that seems fun. So I looked at it, I'm like, okay, this seems like kind of a cool book. And basically it's about this girl who gets sucked into a video game where she's playing on hard mode. So essentially it's like, oh, the Duke's Lost Daughter's Love Extravaganza. I forget the name of the game. But it's basically in easy mode, you're playing like the Duke's lost daughter who gets brought back, and like everyone falls in love with her, la la la, easy mode. And this girl's like, I'm gonna play hard mode, because in hard mode you have to be Penelope, who was the Duke's surrogate daughter when he lost his real one, and then everyone hates her. And if you do one wrong step, you get killed a lot. So now this girl's in the game and she's Penelope. She's like, oh my gosh, I have to not get killed now. Oh no. So it's kind of her trying to like navigate being in a video game and not getting killed. So I had fun with this one. So much so that I went back to Target and I bought book 2 and book 3. I haven't read book 3 yet, but I bought 2 and 3. And I may or may not have pre-ordered books 4 and 5 because they're not out yet. I went down a rabbit hole. But I had a good time with it. I'm not really the biggest manga reader, but like I started. So I read Villains Are Destined to Die, part 1 and part 2. And 3 I already own, I will be reading soon, and I will have 4 and 5 shortly as well. So this is me now. Next category is historical romance, both of them featuring Latina heroines. I read An Island Princess Starts a Scandal by Adriana Herrera. And you know what? I really enjoyed this. I love Adriana Herrera in general. All of the books I've read by Adriana Herrera, like, she's never let me down. I've had a good time with literally all of them. So she's kind of an auto by author for me, really. And this is the second book in her, like, Las Leones series. I read the first book of this series, A Caribbean Heiress in Paris, I believe is the name of it, and loved it, thought it was really great. Now we're back with Manuela, and she's another one of these friends who gets sent to, Europe, but they're all Latina women. And Manuela, she's like, well, I'm going to be forced into a marriage I don't really care about, so, like, this is my wild summer before I have to go do that. I'm going to live it up. And Manuela is also a lesbian. So she's being forced to marry a man she has no interest in, obviously, but she has lots of interest in women. She's like, oh, I'm in Paris? Like, I want to go on a fuck wave. So I'm like, yeah, Manuela is a really fun character. Then she meets a duchess named Cora. And Cora is such a panty dropper. Like, if you're reading this, you're like, oh my, Cora. Like, the way that they talk to each other. And then they have, like, this whirlwind romance. And how is it going to end? Mind you, this is, like, 1800s era. It's also Paris, though. In Paris, they were very loosey-goosey about a lot of things. Realistically, like, two women could be lovers and live together in this era with relatively low consequences. So they picked the perfect spot to be doing this in. But there's a lot going on here. They have to, like, find a way to be together against all odds. And, it's spicy, too. And I was, like, way into this. So just trust me. Like, Adriana Herrera will not let you down. They're fun books. They're like me time books. You want to curl up on the couch with a glass of wine and just, like, dig in. That's how I feel about all of her books. And I had a really, really fun time with this one. It's a really good one. I also read Ana Maria and the Fox by Liana de la Rosa. And I wish I could say I liked this one as much as the previous book, but I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't have any beef with this book. Like, I don't think it's particularly poorly written. It's just, I'm not maybe the target audience for it. So I think I ended up giving it like 3 stars in the end. Like, I don't love it or hate it, like it or dislike it. I'm just kind of neutral on it. It is a very, I would say, slow burn romance. And, I'm a quick burn kind of girl. So for me, it was just like, oh my gosh, get to the point already. A lot of, like, mutual pining. And maybe it's a bit more historically accurate because of how they interact with each other in society. There's less room for mischief, they're both trying to keep their reputations. Whereas, Island Princess, like, ooh, they're going to sex clubs. Like, that one is, like, wild. This one, much more proper. Basic gist of the plot here is Ana Maria and her 2 sisters. They are Mexican heiresses. And they are related to people high up in the Mexican government. And this is during the time of French occupation of Mexico. So they get sent away from the country because now they're, like, political assets and could be taken prisoner to, be ransomed, etc. Their lives are in danger. They send them to England to be with their uncle and to, like, put distance away. And so the sisters all go there and they all really find a new sisterhood and friendship with each other, which I did appreciate. There is a lot of talk about, like, childhood trauma in here. And I did appreciate all 3 of the sisters who are 3 very different people, all, like, finally forming a sister bond with each other because they've always been, like, pitted against each other since they were kids. But now, like, they're on their own together. They find a friendship there. So I really like the female friendship in here, the sisterhood. That's all really great. I really like that aspect of the story. I just felt like the romance itself was lacking, mainly because it was just so slow burn. Like, eventually they get there, but it's not till, like, 70% of the way through the book. So, like, it's a lot of book with very little action. But overall, I did enjoy it. It does get really, like, action-packed at the end, but I wasn't in love with it, so it's like a 3-star. It's fine. I don't have any beef with it. I think it's a fine book. It's just, it wasn't for me necessarily, so there you go. Next category is contemporary romance, and I read 2 of them. I'm gonna start things off here with Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. And this one, good dumb fun. This is just exactly what I wanted from Tessa Bailey. Because at the beginning of July, I was still in my reading slump, and I was like, okay, I just want, like, sex idiot books, to quote 30 Rock. Basically, I want a book that's dumb, funny, and sexy. That's it. I don't want to have to think too hard. I just want something dumb and smutty. So Tessa Bailey coming through. Not that her books are dumb, you know what I mean? I just mean that they're simple to understand. I don't have to like learn a new world. I don't have to learn a lot about like the characters and their environment. I don't have to think too hard, essentially. That's what I mean by it. This is a sequel to Secretly Yours, which I also very much enjoyed. So I was very excited to get Unfortunately Yours. And this one, both of these characters you're introduced to in book one. It's very much an enemies to lovers type of story. And also it takes place in like Napa in wine country. And I was like, oh, this is kind of for me. Like your girl loves wine. So I was like, okay, I'm vibing here. I'm just like enjoying the scenery at this point. And then you throw in two characters that I very much enjoy. Also, there's laughs because like Tessa Bailey is a great comedic author. She has great comedy in her romantic comedies. They're not just like silly. They're like, oh, that's clever. And also they're smutty. Like I'm just going to put it out there, like grade A smut. So these characters, they basically kind of have to be in a marriage of convenience with each other. And then, you know, they fall in love for real. And those are my favorite kind of books. So I highly recommend checking them out. Pretty much anything from Tessa Bailey is pretty much a good time, but this series has been really cute. It's a little duology. I don't think there's going to be any more books in the series. I think they're like, they nailed it. So, yeah, fun sex idiot book. You know what I mean? It's going to be a good time, and it's relatively short. Just check it out if you need me time and you just want to read something simple. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, I read Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. And I read this mainly because I kept seeing all these like YouTube videos come out of people like reviewing the movie, and they were like funny videos or whatever, like Amanda the Jedi. I don't know if you guys follow her, but she's great. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch the movie. It seems cute. Again, I was in my sex idiot phase, and the movie, genuinely cute. Also R-rated. The movie gets a little spicy at times, and I was like, okay. So I had a great time in the movie. It's a perfect sex idiot type of thing. So I was like, I'll check out the book. And see, I should have noticed the red flags right away, but I was just like vibing with the series. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it, because the movie is definitely a rom-com. It's funny. The book, I should have known wasn't gonna be funny when I saw the page count was like nearly 500 pages. That is not a rom-com anymore. You can't keep a book funny for that many pages. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. But like I kept reading it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I read the whole thing, so I can officially say with gusto that this book is a dumpster fire. It is a dumpster fire of a story, and I am astonished. And I can't believe all of the good reviews I see everywhere for this book. What? Am I reading the same book? It is a legit dumpster fire. It makes no sense. Like, it happens in reality, in the world we live in, but nothing that happens in the book makes any sense. Like, they're all in college, but, like, this college seems like more like a high school, because, like, they all go to the cafeteria every day, and everyone gossips about them, because, like, they're the new hot couple, and, like, everybody knows their business. I'm like, this is a goddamn university. There's too many people. Like, how would everybody know your business? It's a university. If you're like in a high school in a relatively smaller town, yeah, that makes sense. But these characters are like in college. And also, both of them need extensive amounts of therapy. They are both the most dysfunctional people I have ever seen. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you shouldn't be together. I am not rooting for you to be together, because it's going to end in a beautiful disaster, as the title suggests. Like, our male lead is just insane. Like, he just gaslights this girl. He like gets her name tattooed on him. And like they've barely been dating, and she's like, that makes me uncomfortable, and he's like, it's okay. And he just keeps telling her it's okay, and she's like, I feel uncomfortable. And then like this like jerks this guy's like emotions around for so much of the book. Just going like, oh, I like you, but maybe not. Well, maybe so, but like maybe not, but like maybe we should just be friends. And like just like jerks him around emotionally, which is just bizarre to do to someone who's obviously unhinged. Like, stop jerking around this kid's emotions. You are just making him more crazy. So it is just two highly dysfunctional people being idiots. And I just can't fathom how this series would end if this were real people. Like, frankly, they're gonna be at like Target one day and some guy is gonna ask her, hey, do you know where the toothpaste aisle is? And he's gonna be filled with so much jealous rage, he will kill that guy and be in prison for the rest of his life. Tell me that's not how the story between them is going to end. You can't, because that is the only logical way it will end. They're just awful people. And they're both like need intensive therapy, and none of like the world building here makes a lick of sense. It's a dumpster fire of a book, and I read the whole fucking thing, so I don't know what that says about me. But if you want to get into this, just watch the movie. The movie's actually genuinely really cute and a breezy like 90 minutes. So movie, good. Book, yikes, dumpster fire. And on that note, my last category is hell if I know, and I read 2 of them. So by hell if I know, I mean these books made so little sense that like I could not understand what was happening. And like I've read complex books before, like really complex stuff with like alternate timelines happening at the same time and characters who have been reincarnated, like the Chorus of Dragon series by Jen Lyons, very complex for world building and also narrative structure. Understood what was happening just fine. So I don't think it's me, okay? I'm not dumb. Like, I can read complex things. These 2 books made no sense and didn't even try to explain the world that was happening, so much so that I was like, okay, I am like over 100 pages into this and I kind of only halfway understand what's going on. And so I went to like Goodreads, because I try not to go to Goodreads reviews before I start a book. And then as I was reading it, I was like, okay, am I the only one who doesn't get this? And apparently no, like so many people were in the comments saying like, I don't know what's going on. So it's not just me. So that being said, the first book I don't understand at all is The Archive Undying by Mieko Candon. And like, I wanted to love this. I wanted to love it so bad. First of all, this cover, gorgeous. I love the whole premise for this, at least on the back cover. The back cover made sense. So basically, like, there's these AI giant robot things, which are also cities, and sometimes the AI will go insane and kill everybody. And like there's AI basically, since they like are literally providing life to everybody, they're like gods. And then like sometimes an AI can like use its like computer stuff to like save people. Again, I still don't understand. I'm just trying to describe the basic plot. Like, I still don't get it. And there's so many like new things brought into this world that they're just aren't explained properly. Like all these different types of characters and like what they function as, and like because a lot of people have like robotic parts, and then sometimes like pieces of old AI like still have a little AI in them, and then they form themselves into like I don't know, robot monsters. I have no idea what was happening in this book, and like I read 102 pages and I don't know a thing that happened. And that's a fair amount of the book to read and still be like, fuck if I know. So, yeah, I really genuinely wanted to like this. I thought it had a beautiful cover, had a cool premise. I kind of like the main character because they're kind of a snarky a-hole, which I like in general. I love a good anti-hero, but I have no idea what's happening or how this world functions, what anything is. Nothing is described. The world is not built. You're just dropped into the world with no building happening around you. So you're just expected to know what these things are as if you already lived in this world. And I realize that is a literary choice. There are authors who do that. However, I think it alienates a good part of your audience because I'm here to be immersed in the story, not have to try to figure out what you mean. Like, It's your job. It's your job as the author to show me the world and tell me what you mean, not have me try to figure it out, okay? So, yeah, I really wanted to like this a lot. And I think for maybe the right reader, it could be good. Just for me, I have no idea what happened. I read over 100 pages. I also kind of felt the same way about Witch King by Martha Wells. However, I read the whole thing in this case because it was our patron and channel member book club pick for July. And again, I only like 60 to 70% know what happened in this. Like, I did think it had some fun lines and action sequences. And I like Martha Wells as an author in general, so that kind of held me through the book because I was able to just kind of vibe with things and just be like, I don't really know what's happening, but I'm having a good time because Martha Wells just is like a fun author to read. So better than Archive Undying, but like still makes no sense. You get dropped into a world with a very complex magical system and government system and how all of these like different like tribes and countries and people all interact with each other, and you're just dropped in the middle of it with very little world building. It feels like there should have been a book before this. It should have been maybe a trilogy, because on top of all of what I just said, there are two concurrent timelines happening in this book. One is in the past and one is in the present. I feel like all of the chapters that were in the past of our main character were showing kind of how they, you know, began this journey. It was really fun. I loved the past chapters because it was chronological. It showed exactly what was happening next. And like, I loved that stuff. I thought it would have been a very good book 1. And then it needs a book 2 where it goes through all the stuff that is gapping that period of time between where the past parts of this book ends and where the present parts of this book ends, because there's a big gap in between them too. There's a whole middle section there which is not addressed. So give us a middle book, and then all the present parts of this book would be book 3. And I think they would have been better overall. However, you know, that's a much more traditional literary strategy to have book 1, 2, and 3 and told chronologically. But I think it would have been better for the reader because we would have had more time to understand the world that this is taking place in, especially with the past chapters, because I feel like most of the world building was being done there. And in the present times, you're just like, I haven't read enough of the past yet to figure out what's happening in the present. So you're just very confused. So yeah, I kind of like 70% understood what was going on here. But Martha Wells is just a fun author. So I did kind of like our main characters. Their name is Kai. I did enjoy them, and I thought they had some funny lines. It has like some funny sarcasm and characters who are just found family and stuff. Very Martha Wells in general. But yeah, world building is seriously lacking. I don't understand what's happening, and I wish there was more books in this series. This should have been book 3, and I was like, I feel like I have missed book 1 and 2. So, fuck if I know. All right, so that concludes July. I read a fair number of books in July. I feel very proud of myself. Also, I was just reading books that I kind of wanted to vibe with. I wasn't forcing myself to read a lot of like heavy fantasy and sci-fi that I didn't want to read. I was reading, you know, my sex idiot books, and I had a good time with them. On that note, let me know in the comments down below, what's a book you read to get out of a reading slump? Like, what genre do you start picking up? Because for me, sex idiot books. I want something simple and smutty. Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, including early access to videos and a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I will see you guys soon. Goodbye.